Okie dokie. So we've got our app. You can't see me doing air quotes, but I am around the word app. Right now, it's an empty shopping list that is being rendered, but there's no data that is actually making it to our shopping list component. And it's empty, and that's fine. It's just starting as an empty list. But what I want to do next is allow us to create new shopping list items. How do we add in, some new product we need to get from the store? Well, we're going to need to work with some sort of a form. So I'm going to make a component to do that because there's a decent amount of logic. And especially for a real world form, things get complicated if you have a lot of inputs. So let's make a form called shopping item form, shopping list form, something like that. .tsx. Oh, I named it TSC accidentally. TSX. Okay. And then in here, of course, we'll import React. And then I'll define my component called shopping list form. And I will export default shopping list form. And then I'll say that this returns type jsx.element. You don't have to have that, but we'll be explicit. And then I'm going to have it return a form. I know that for sure. And then in that form, I'm going to want at least one input. Type equals text, where you could type the product name. So I'll do placeholder and have that be, product name, item name, something like that. And then let's add a button, add item, and then let's set that type to be submit. And then let's just make sure this renders. So in our app component, alongside the shopping list itself, we'll render a shopping list form. So import shopping list form. So right after the shopping list, we'll do shopping list form. And we should be good to go. Let's make sure we see our form. Great. So of course, as soon as I submit that right now, everything gets messed up. The page refreshes. That's the default behavior of a form. But we're going to step in and add a submit handler to this form, right? So on submit, we're going to need to call some function like handle submit. Well, that doesn't exist yet. So let's define handle submit. And the first thing we need to do is prevent the default behavior of that form. It is submitting. So I need access to the event object. So normally we would have, E or event or EVT, and then we would call e.preventDefault. But I'm not getting autocomplete, which is always a bad sign in TypeScript. It doesn't know the type of that event. So I need to come in and give it a type, and I know what the type is. There's a react.form event. That's what we want. That's a particular type. And then in here, I can return, what am I doing? Return. I can do e.preventDefault, and then maybe console.log submitted, and just see if this works for us. All right, so I submit the form, and the page doesn't refresh, and we see submitted printed out. That's a good start. And we'll stop here in this video because next up, we need to implement the actual logic to get the value for this product name and create a new product. Not to mention we need quantity in there as well. So that's all coming up next. And we're going to talk about useRef to help us with that.